Good evening, everybody. Welcome to VIP's Giving Tuesday. We celebrate this day as an opportunity for people to spend their resources, to use your blessings to change the lives of other people. And we are specifically talking about the people who live in Malawi, Africa. We have people from all over the country with us tonight. I see that my grandchildren, Biel and Nellie, are with us from Salt Lake City, and it's so great to have you guys with us. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're asking where Pops is, and Pops is at a meeting tonight, so he couldn't be with me. Bob Kloss, one of our beekeepers, so great to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us. We want this to be an interactive opportunity. And so if throughout the evening you have questions, you want to make comments, please feel free to ask them, and Erin will put them up on the screen, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. We have a very generous gift that was given to us tonight, a $50,000 matching gift challenge. And as of a few minutes ago, we had surpassed 40,000 from the beginning of this morning. And so we're just so grateful for all the generosity. And we hope by the end of our live stream tonight that, wow, 42,000, we hope by the end of our live stream tonight that we will have matched the 50,000 goal. So this evening, we have a few people that we want to interview. We want to take time to interview so that you can hear from the perspective of others. And then the last few minutes of our live stream, I'll be sharing with you updates from Malawi and give you a glimpse into all the work that you have been doing. The first set of people that we have are Rich and Donna Daisner. Hey, Rich. Hi, Donna.
Hi. Hey, Liz. How we doing?
Good. They are actually in the room next door. Rich just joined VIP in July as our Director of Strategic Partnerships. And then he and Donna came over to Malawi. And it was their first trip to Africa, to Malawi. And so we wanted to hear their perspective from their fresh eyes, what they experienced. So again, I encourage all of you out there, if you have questions or comments from them, go ahead and ask, put them in the chat, and we'll bring them up. But Rich and Donna, can you start out just by sharing a little bit about your experience in Malawi?
Sure. You want to start, hon?
Okay.
No, you want me to go first? Okay. Well, Liz, thank you for having us tonight. It's really an honor to be here. And I think the most poignant thing about being in Malawi was the people. They have nothing, and to see a level of poverty that we know nothing about. But to still see the joy and the happiness that they have when we come to visit them was pretty impressive. The poverty there is not like here. There's no safety net. If you don't have water and you don't have electricity, you don't have water for electricity for miles. There's no neighbor to go next door to and get something you need. You can't borrow a cup of sugar. There's nothing there. So that level of poverty was pretty eye-opening for me.
Yeah. I think, again, it's an overwhelmingly beautiful experience. But again, when you see the way that people are living, you can't unsee it. What you do, they just, are ingrained in your heart. And they're not bitter about their circumstances. They were just so appreciative for everything that VIP was willing to do to teach them so that they can empower themselves to lift themselves up from poverty. And I just thought that that was just so incredible, the way that VIP has the system set up to be able to do that. And it's so comprehensive. They're just doing so many different things to help people there, that to be part of this is such a blessing.
Mm.
Yeah, when
Aaron?
people ask us, when people ask us when we came back, like, tell us something, tell us the one thing. There's just too many things. Everything's so interconnected. You know, the whether it's this program or the irrigation system or the education, there's just so many things that are impacting their lives. It's just it's so impressive to see how the work is changing their lives.
Mm.
We've seen people with next to nothing, and then we've seen people grasp the tools that VIP is providing and the training and taking advantage of it and working hard and then moving themselves up into a sustainable lifestyle. And it was just that is really hopeful and really exciting, and it's something I'm just so glad we're a part of.
There's a Samani.
That's my favorite.
Can you
It is
tell us
great.
who that is?
That was the Samani chief. We went to the Samani village, and that, you know, when we showed up anywhere, people were playing drums and singing to us and hugging us, and just so thankful that there were that there are these people, really, these Americans, people from VIP, who are willing to take their time, take their resources, and start with like teaching them. And maybe that's me with the well, maybe building a well, but then teaching them how to take care of it. Or giving them a goat, but then teaching them how to care for the goats. And the villagers, they were so generous. They had very little, but they shared it with us. Just show up out of nowhere with meals for us.
Mm.
It was just so beautiful. I would go back tomorrow. Honestly, it was that impactful of an experience.
Yeah. A lot of Americans travel to Africa, but very few are privileged to see what you saw.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, seeing that, when we actually got to hear the stories of somebody who was the lowest level of poverty, and by taking advantage of, VIP teaching this woman how to plant a different kind of ground nut, and then explain to her how to water the crop properly, and then introduced to fertilizer, how she was able to lift herself up to be able to have enough food to feed her family every day.
Yeah.
The things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
That it was just incredible.
Yeah. It's truly a blessing to be there, for sure.
If there's one thing that you would want people to think about, what would that be?
I think that it's hard to pick one. I mean, the whole thing is amazing, and I really encourage people to go on the VIP website and just see how much is really being done there. But I think that sometimes people think, oh, I don't have enough to give to really make a difference. And when you're talking about Malawi, Africa, you do have enough to give. I mean, really, the littlest gifts impact a family. A little bit more of a gift impacts the whole village, and a sizable gift impacts generations, like really generations for the future.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Does she work for VIP there, Liz?
Rich, how about you? What would you want people to think about?
I would want them to think a couple of things, but one is that the organization on the ground is filled with many beautiful Malawians helping Malawians, and that it's just the matter of getting the right tools in their hands, and that's what we're trying to do. And then once they're there, to see them do it themselves and be so proud. We went to many different villages, and when you go there, you're treated like royalty, which is, I mean, they're just so warm and accepting. But to see them be so proud of, hey, I did this, and thank you for helping me do it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we're gonna say goodbye to Donna now, and Rich, I want to invite you to come in and join me for the rest of the live stream. So thanks so much, Donna and Rich.
Sounds great.
Thanks. All right. If anyone
See
ever
ya.
wants to talk about VIP, we could talk about it all day long.
Thanks. I noticed that Bill and Kelly Scheel have joined us all the way from Illinois. Mark and Nancy Carmen, who have been supporters with us for a long time. Oh no, they just actually joined us. They are parents of Macy.
Yes.
And Macy, we're going to ask Macy to join us now as we get ready to talk about the Conda Health Center.
No, so the Macy's parents got on just in time. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay, great.
So I think Erin, are you telling us you're going to share the video first?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Today we are celebrating a place of healing.
Thank you for allowing us to serve your people.
But the people of Kanda, Tie and Kagula, Anadziwa Kuti, Kuona, Maso Ancona, and Kudeka. A precious gift is being given to the people of Tie and Kagula. This gift will serve thousands of people for many generations.
The facility we are opening today is not only magnificent, but a complete health center. Apart from general outpatient services, it also has a maternity wing.
And tomorrow, as the doors of the Conda Health Center open to their first patients, if we take time to listen, we will hear Jesus turn and say, "Who touched me? Your faith has healed you."
It is now my honor to declare Kanda Health Center officially open. God bless
That's great.
Macy, hi.
Good evening. Happy to
Hey,
be
Macy.
here with you.
Yeah, so glad you're joining us tonight. Your first time over in Malawi was in 2022. You came with the construction team.
Yes, that's correct.
And then in 2023 with for the opening ceremonies, but you have actually been working with VIP and the Malawian government and the clinicians for many, many years. Even before we had a construction committee,
Yes.
you were working with me and the Malawian government going back and forth on the design. Macy, tell us a little bit about how that felt for you when you got on the ground and you first saw the building and your design come to life.
Yeah, I think it was completely surreal, and my overwhelming feelings were just those of gratitude. I was so grateful that VIP heard this cry and decided to step up and do this huge project for this community. I was grateful to have had the opportunity to work on the design.
It's a great thing.
I was grateful for the many people in the Malawi and the United States who were, really a part of this journey that, as you mentioned, Liz, has taken years and years, from the initial design work all the way through construction and now the opening and the functioning of the clinic.
I remember this picture.
Yeah.
You had just arrived and were seeing the building for the first time, and you started to cry, and
Yeah.
Joe came up next to you and put his arm around you.
Yeah, I was overcome, and it was so remarkable to be on the ground with the VIP Malawi staff who we had worked with for several years through a global pandemic. I mean, these were isolating times. And to build those relationships and work hand in hand and then be on the ground with them was truly an experience I will never forget.
Yeah.
Macy, I saw at the very end of that video you were dancing. Was it? Is that how that whole trip felt when you went back and saw your design come to life?
It was full of so much joy and relief, but it was also really bittersweet. I think to recognize the magnitude of the celebration and the hundreds of people that traveled there to be there and their joy and relief, is to bear witness to the deep and desperate need for medical care that this community has lived and frankly died with for so long.
Yeah.
So, the relief of that community that the waiting was over, for the VIP staff and family who's worked so hard, and that now the Conda Clinic could really start working, lives could be saved, was pretty huge.
You went down there the day after, right? When they first started seeing patients.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I don't know that I have words for it. And after the clinic had closed for the day, I had a chance to go see Mr. Mwale, who I understood came on to share earlier today about how the clinic is going, and shake his hand. And, for so long, this was a project that, was just envisioned in my head. And there were so many people that put faith and trust and effort into this, even though they couldn't see it and picture it. And now it is of the world, it is of this community, and it is theirs. And to see them take it and own it, and Mr. Mwale to start saving lives is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Macy, I really love hearing all that emotion in your voice, because when people have asked me like, well, why do you get involved with VIP? And I said, I don't want to sound dramatic, but you're literally saving lives.
Yeah.
Like your work in helping build that clinic is really changing, making the difference between somebody living and not. And that's just, I love hearing that emotion, because that's how important it is.
Absolutely. Each one of those people is a real person with hopes and dreams and family and the chance to succeed, hopefully, thanks to good medical care.
Absolutely.
Well, Macy, we just appreciate you using your gifts to bless so many thousands of people.
Yes.
We met with Mr. Mwale today at noon on a Zoom call, and he told us he's seeing about 400 patients a day. Yeah. And so you are right. It is impacting thousands. I think he said their catchment area is about 32,000 people.
And Mr. Malawi is the head clinician at Conda.
Yes.
So
yes.
he runs the show there on the ground. So.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you. And I know that you're continuing to work with us. You helped develop the library, the
Yes.
design for the library at the One Heart Secondary School, and now are working with us on developing the farm. And so we're just so grateful for all your talents and gifts and how freely you share them.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity and grateful for the VIP family and donors who really make all this possible, both near and far. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Macy.
Yeah, thank you, Macy.
Good night.
Yeah,
Nice.
truly talent and resources, and it's beautiful watching her do all that work there. It's just
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I just want to take an opportunity to share with everybody what's going on behind the scenes here. we have our staff here. There's Manda and Aaron, who
In charge of tech.
are making all these things happen, and
Yes.
Rich Daisner, as I mentioned, just joined the VIP staff in July as the Director of Strategic Partnerships. And Rich, just was wondering if you could share with everybody a little bit about your story and give people insight into why you are here today.
Yeah, I was minding my own business and in my career, enjoying it and enjoying life. And Bob Rode, the president of VIP, approached me to say, hey, I have an interesting opportunity for you. And after hearing it, it was really something that tugged on my heart. And after some discernment and talking with Donna and going through the interview process, obviously, I just felt called. I felt called to do something more with my life than I was doing. And I felt called to make a difference and be, as much as I didn't want to be, but be uncomfortable, because it's hard to step out and do something you don't know what the end's going to look like. And, but I couldn't not help the people there. So Donna said, you can't unsee what you saw.
Yeah.
And if you can't unsee it, you can't not do something about it. So I feel like I have to do something.
Yeah,
about it.
well,
So
welcome to the team. We're so happy to have you
it's
with us.
great to be here. It's great to be here. And the people surrounding us are so awesome. And I just want to give a shout out to Eileen. She's also on the team, Gradwell. I think she's on here tonight.
Yes, and
Sarah.
Sarah.
Moore is also
Yeah.
on the team, but she's working behind the scenes there too. So
Yeah.
glad you guys are joining us.
Yeah. We have another, our third guest and our final guest before I share our updates from Malawi is Kim Huckrow. Kim has been visiting. Hi, Kim.
Hey, Kim.
Hi, guys.
Kim and her husband, Paul. Sorry he can't be here tonight, Kim.
I am too.
I think we got the better half though.
I sincerely believe that to be true, but I won't tell anybody.
Kim and Paul came to Malawi. They were actually, I think, one of our very first guests.
Yeah.
They came in 2009 when I was living in the village, and they joined me and stayed in the village with me, which is a huge leap. And so, but they have been continuing to come. The following year, you brought your 3 daughters, and how old were they then, Kim? Tori, how
Wow,
old was she?
it's kind of crazy to think about it, but I think our eldest, who just turned 30 this year, she was probably 17, and the middle daughter was 15, and that was our youngest over there. That's Tori. She's 11, probably right around 11 at that time.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
if any of you out there are considering a trip with your children, it's
Talk to Kim.
talk to Kim.
Actually, you could probably talk to my daughter Tori, because the trip has completely changed our lives, and it's very it's funny. When I was just listening to Macy, she was saying how surreal it was for her. But when I think back on our years with VIP, that is just the perfect word to describe our experiences. When we started going over there, I remember the healthcare clinic, our first healthcare clinic was in a community center, which is, again, sounds better than it was. It was just a small brick building, and people would line up for probably miles to just get vaccinated and see the medical team. And then this summer when we went back over and saw Conda Clinic, that was amazingly surreal. And just to think about the impact that, VIP has had on this little catchment area and this neck of the woods. There are very few times that you ever have the opportunity to really impact lives like this. And it's really changed our family significantly for the better. So
Kim, if I could ask, you went there in 2009 and now it's 2023. And I rode on the Land Cruiser with you and Paul, and I was listening to you guys talk. One of the things you said was, there's not as many people walking. And, for a first timer, I was like, look at all the people walking. So what are some of the differences from when you were there in 2009 to now that you would want to highlight?
Well, it seems so trivial, but when we first went there, you just really didn't understand how the people were living. I mean, at that point, I think much of the focus was on wells and getting, people water in a more reasonable fashion. I think one of the most moving things was, on our first trip, some little 7-year-old girl came over and she's like, well, how far do you guys have to walk for water? And, sitting there with our girls, we were all really taken aback, and you don't fully appreciate the difference in our lives versus theirs. I think over the years, it's gone from water wells to maize mills to food security. And for me, the culmination was going back this summer and seeing the clinic, because it was just so sophisticated and so beautiful. And when we first started going there, we would watch people go to school under a tree. And then this summer again, when we went to One Heart Secondary School and walked through their real science labs with, marble tables and actual lab equipment. It's mind-blowing. It really is.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Kim. That's great perspective.
Yeah. Well, you and Paul have been apart from the moment that we went over there. You and Paul supported us and to live over there. We wrote a fundraising letter out to all our family and friends. And so you guys have been with us from the very, very beginning. And we're just so grateful for your partnership and your love for the people of Malawi.
Well, selfishly, I think when we go over there, we get as much as we give. Our trips there really give us pause and reset our moral compasses. And, we come back and we try to be better people and live better lives, just as a tribute to what we've seen when we're there on the ground. So it's been amazing for us as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Kim, for joining us tonight, and we hope you'll stay with us for the rest of the live stream.
Indeed.
Yeah, give our love to your family.
Yeah, great to see you.
I will.
Thank you so much for helping.
No problem.
All right. Good night, Kim.
Good night. All right.
Yeah. So we're just so grateful for all our partners, from those who are just for the very first time maybe hearing about us tonight, and for those who have been with us since the very beginning. We're so grateful for what God is doing in all of our lives. We just want to give a couple of shout outs. Tom Maxwell, we saw you at the Zoom this morning, and now you're with us again. Tara from Colorado, and I hope Grayson is with you. I know you guys are getting ready to come over to Malawi in the spring.
Great,
Yeah. So
I see Drew Carmen from Oklahoma. Oh no, was it Nebraska? Great, love it. All over.
Yeah,
You guys are
all
from far and
over.
wide.
So I want to take some time right now to share with you what we have, some updates from Malawi, and to share with you what you basically are doing in the communities. So let's see. Aaron, my keyboard doesn't seem to be working.
All right.
I have to do it up here? Nope.
Goes down,
If you guys could just bear with us.
Nope.
Okay, there we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
All right. Just going to start out talking a little bit about the cyclone that hit in March of this year. It was pretty devastating. We had a team over there. I was over there with a medical team, and they were stuck for 2 days at the farm where we stay. Nobody could move, and you can see that the clinic was flooded. Fortunately, we don't use drywall or any kind of building materials like that, so the clinic was not really harmed. But for the people in Malawi, Rich, you were there and saw some of the devastation.
Yeah, this is Amai Santana, one of the most vulnerable people that we met there. She lived in that house before it was taken down by a cyclone, and basically she was begging, and the only other place that she could go was a school miles away, just to have some shelter for a little bit. And so to see the devastation there was really moving.
Yeah, this is a household that our team visited this summer, and we're working to help rebuild it. You can see that pile of rubble up front. The houses just melt over there if they are not built with burned brick. And she was staying in that opening under the straw roof in the back. Many of you contributed to the cyclone rebuild that we are doing. And we built these very small but very strong houses. This is one of the women that we served. She is taking care of her grandchildren who have been orphaned. Many of the homeowners, we couldn't rebuild for every person that lost their home. So we had to choose some of the most vulnerable families, and usually those are widows and elderly taking care of orphans.
And that's really, that selection is done by the Malawi villagers themselves. We don't come in and say, hey, this is who we're helping. They figure out who the most vulnerable is and they let us know.
Yes.
And then we build. Do you want to tell them about the structure too?
Yeah, sure. You'll notice that it's built of block. And the reason that is most of the houses in the villages are brick. But because brick, secure, solid brick demands being burnt, that means that they have to cut down trees, and deforestation is such a problem in Malawi that the government requires NGOs, nonprofits to build with block now. And so that's the only material that we can use with building. So that's why the homes are built with block, but they are strong and another cyclone will not take them down.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to just share with you VIP's mission real quickly so that all of you understand. We are all about eradicating extreme poverty in Malawi. But specifically, we want to move people who are living in extreme poverty from extreme poverty to a sustainable style of living. So this kind of extreme poverty in Malawi, we're talking about drawing water from contaminated water sources.
Yeah. Oh, walking everywhere you go is transportation. Eating the same meal every day and maybe only having one of those.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the floor, cooking over an open fire. That's level 1 poverty.
Yeah, that is extreme poverty. Where we'd like to move people, when we've found that when people pick up the tools that VIP that you are offering, we find that people begin to move, and we want to move them to what we call level 2 sustainable living, where even if they suffer from a drought or a cyclone, they can stay, they can sustain themselves. And this means they're still drawing water, but they're drawing water from protected water sources.
And they may have bicycle as transportation, not just walking.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a variety of foods to eat versus just one bowl of porridge a day.
Yes.
And they may even sleep on a mat.
Yeah.
Instead of on the floor.
Yeah. And their roof has gone from a grass roof to iron sheets. So this kind of extreme poverty is very difficult for us to understand, again, like Rich said, unless you've been there and witnessed it. And even then, we don't really understand the full impact, how oppressive it can be. And so we have a little video. Ruth Kawinga, one of the women, her daughter is one of our secondary school scholarship recipients. She's going to share a little bit of her story with us.
Zina langa ndilofika wenga, ndili ndi ana 7, ndima yokuzimira pandekha. Ineyo pa moyo wanga wa siku ndi siku nimayendera modi siku limene sapeza ana 7 makhala nawo movutika kuti ana amene adye pa siku limenelo. Ndili mwana wina zina lake Yamikani Magwira, mwana amene ndi waulumaliro samatha kulankhula. Nde ineyo ndimatha pena pake mwina maulendo ena ndene osayenda chifukwa chakubizika ni mwana amene kuti ndithe kumusamalira. Voti magona ndine magona apo ndi ana 5 phatikiza ndi wa kusukulu yemweyo koma ukoko konkhala mbali zokha chakudya chinekiso kulibiko. Ineyo likatha siku lonse osapeza chokudya ndi ananga. Mtima wanga umaganiza mapologalamu moti kapena mwina ineyo ndingotha mwina kungofa chongo choti mwina kapena mavuto ngati amene wawo samakumane nawo. Panopa mwana wanga atangotengedwa ndi VIP chinandikhuza mumtima ndipo ganizo limene ndimatha kumaganiza kuti mwina nditha kuzipha lasintha chifukwa chani ndikuona kuti sogolo la mwana wanga Caroline mmene akuthandizidwa ndi VIP mwina sogolo lake litha kukhala bwino inenso ndithokoza kukhala pabwino. Mapologalamu a VIP ndimaona bwino komano mapologalamu awawo akufotokoza kuti abaki ya nkhonde amenewo nimalakalaka nditalowa kuti mwina kapena ndithe kuthandizika nako koma ndimasowa ndi pano panangokhala ndilibe business ina ilonse mwina kapena kuti ntha kuyenda ndikumapeza kangachepe ndimakasiya kupanga. Basi ife kunoko pologalamu ya chitukuko cha madzi tinacho pafupi moti uje 2 minutes ndafika panjigo ndimatunga madzi kufika pakhombo. Chosowa cha ineyo panopa ndikumbali yacho kudya. Pologalamu ya nthilirayi ife timakhangati kuti tikudikirira timalowa mogawana. Ndiye tili kati modikirira muti makhangati kuti ena ife timasowa chochita kudikira kuti pologalamu iyi nafe tifikire.
I had the opportunity to visit Ruth, and you saw those little boys with a bird cage. The staff was telling me that all little boys from the village learn how to make these bird cages, and then they put sap and seeds on a tree branch, and the bird lands to eat the seeds, and then the bird gets trapped, and they catch it and put it in this cage, and then they sell it. So I bought that cage and that bird that day for less than $2. But that was the wages that Ruth makes a day when she goes out and works for other people in their fields or whatever kind of work she can find. So,
yeah, Ruth is in the Samani village, and that's where we have one of the irrigation systems. But we've also been given more land in Samani by the chief there. And so we are really trying to expand their irrigation system to include more people like Ruth. And so obviously that's a big push. And we're also trying to do more irrigation systems because it doesn't just feed a family for today or for tomorrow. It feeds them for generations. And it also just explodes their possibility. It takes them from just feeding themselves one thing a day to being able to grow cash crops in the dry season and sell them for money that can actually invest in other things like a bicycle or like a boat or fishing nets, so they can get a more variety of food, be healthier, but then also turn around and sell that kind of food. So these people can become self-sufficient.
yeah. And so your gift tonight that's being matched, we're hoping by the end of this evening, we will have raised $100,000. And that can go towards expanding the Samani irrigation system to include Ruth and other families like her. Yeah. I just want to share with you, as Rich mentioned before, when we say we, it's not Rich or myself, but it's our Malawian staff who are our hands and feet over there, who are the hands and feet of Jesus Christ, serving the most vulnerable. And it is not easy work. And they work tirelessly. They are so committed. Many of them grew up in the village, and so they know that life. And someone, somewhere along the line, provided them with a scholarship to go to school. Frank Jamaica, he became orphaned. He was raised by his grandmother. Wellings Molabu, our country director, he grew up in the village, and it was a Catholic priest who gave him a scholarship to go to secondary school. So our staff are all experts in their field of livestock, of irrigation, of agriculture, of education. Yes, Ann Diebel has been over there several times, and she knows them, and they are beautiful people. So we just want to give a shout out to all of our staff.
Before you go on, Liz, one of the best days that I had in Malawi was being in the Samani village, but then driving back from Samani with Joe Manjamanja and Charles Sokoso, and we had such a great time. I felt like I've known them my whole lives. Donna was in the car. We were laughing and carrying on. It was just, they're just beautiful people, and they'll work tirelessly.
Yeah. One of the great opportunities that we had during the opening of the Conda Clinic, we had 30 Americans over there, and many of them were people who have come to Malawi over and over again, who are very invested in our projects like the Huckrows, like Macy, and the Gokis. And so we did a visioning with them, and to hear from them and our staff about what we would like to see in the future. We've done a lot of work on water. And so our staff has been suggesting that we turn our attention to food security.
Yeah. So here you see in the graph that less than 85% of the people walk more than 10 minutes for water. But the more important thing is that in our catchment area, VIP has reduced walking over a half an hour to 1%, when the national average is 37%, and that includes the cities. So, and that 1% is really more the newer villages that we brought on, and that we'll be continuing to drill wells and expand that water, so they're walking as many as we can under 10 minutes.
Yeah, to receive a well and to only have to walk 5 minutes for water, it opens up opportunities, especially for girls and women. Girls can go to school, women can start small businesses, because that's their chore, to collect water. And so when you put a well in, it changes the lives dramatically for girls and women. We have partners who are working with us to bring water. Rotary, Downers Grove partnered with the Rotary Club in Blantyre. We have Engineers Without Borders who have been working with us for years to bring water to the community. So we're so grateful for all these partners who are working in our impact area to bring the people water. But as I mentioned, our 3-year strategic plan now is going to turn and focus a lot of our energies on food security. And helping people be able to have enough food to feed their families throughout the year. So this woman, she received 1 goat, and now you can see how the goat has multiplied. And so she has resources now that she can go and sell that goat and have funds to buy extra food if she needs food, to pay school fees, whatever she needs. This guy you've met,
yes,
right?
That is my friend Victor. So he's running the Samani irrigation scheme farming area. So when these farmers spend all their time farming these cash crops, he's the liaison that helps them not only farm better, but then also brings in vendors to buy the crops. And then you can see them right there. They're harvesting all together. The village does it all together, and now they'll have the cash from those onions. For those that don't keep, they'll sell the rest of them. But Liz mentioned that 3-year strategic plan, and that visioning exercise was a culmination of not just the Americans, but also the Malawians. And we did a survey back in 2021, and they told us what they needed. And we put that together with the visioning exercise, and this is where the food security push is really coming from.
Yeah. One of the other things that we're really excited about developing is a training farm where we can bring people like the farmers at Samani and others to learn best practices. So it's a beautiful piece of land. We had soil samples done, and it's a sandy loam soil, great for growing vegetables. It's 50+ acres of land that we are going to develop. Part of it will be a demonstration farm, and part of it will be a commercial farm, so that eventually the farm will be sustaining itself. It's here is the manager of our farm, David Forpence, and you can see how beautiful the crops are. Here he is standing with Dave Specka. Dave Specka is the chair of our farming committee. We have experts who are interfacing from the US, who are agricultural experts, who are interfacing with our agricultural experts in Malawi and sharing ideas and troubleshooting problems. So it's a great team. This is actually the vision for the farm campus that we want to develop. Michael Graves, architects, developed this with us and did wind studies so that we are making sure we're carrying the smells away from the buildings wherever we want to put livestock. And so we're really excited to get this vision developed. One of the experts who serves on our farm committee is Tim Schuler. Tim Schuler is the retired New Jersey state apiarist, and he has been so committed to the people of Malawi. And here he is recognizing the lead beekeepers with Langstroth hives. They cannot get Langstroth hives in Malawi. And so he's working with them to develop that.
Yeah, just real quick, a plug for Worldwide Logistics. They gave us a shipping container and shipped things over to Malawi for us, and in that shipping container include those beehives for those Malawians, so they could be industrious and learn how to make honey and wax and all kinds of things. So there's a picture of the honey.
Yeah, the beekeepers have formed a cooperative so that they are bottling and labeling and selling their honey at markets. And it's just been a really powerful opportunity for them. And here they are at Ministry Trade Fair. Many of our farmers have never been out of Zomba and their district. And so this was the first time for some of them to go into Blantyre with us. As you know, you've heard mentioned, we built One Heart Secondary School. You'll see that a building is going up there. That is a library. We built that library in honor of Kim Daly. Her legacy. And it is just so beautiful. In September, we opened that library to the students, and they just don't have access to books like we do, and so they love having their library time. We have picture books in there for them, and science books and all kinds of different books, but again, because they just don't have access to books, they love it.
We don't even read books anymore, Liz. We're always on our internet. But one of the other awesome things too is that there's a science lab, and we've had some generous donors that realized the need for them to learn science. And when I was in Malawi in August, we got to see. You see the picture right there. They're just now putting the finishing touches on it. Right in the middle of the picture is, if you go back, is Luke. He's the headmaster and the very proud headmaster of One Heart. And this is before it's done. And now Liz surprised me with this awesome picture. This is what the lab looks like now. I'm so excited about that. So I can't wait to let our donors know about this and send them that picture. This is fantastic.
Thank you, Jubilee. We are celebrating this too. It looks so beautiful. And in the shipping container, I believe that some of our VIP family members who are very interested in our educational projects are collecting science materials to equip our lab. So we're very grateful for all of your hard work. One of the things that we found out in the survey that Rich was talking about just a few minutes ago is that when families pick up 3 or more of the tools which are offered from VIP, whether it's joining a village savings and loan group, whether it's receiving a scholarship for their child, whether it's practicing conservation agriculture, whether it's receiving and caring for livestock, 3 or more, we see that the trajectory of their lives really begins to change. So Ruth was an example of what it's like to live in extreme poverty. We have another story from Suya Wiri, who our staff, they call her our superstar because her story is just so amazing of how she is changing her life through your gifts. So we're going to hear a little bit about her.
Lady atabwera mvula inazamba lolemba ndipo mvula inazavumba kwa mtunda wa utali itavumba chonchija napezeka kuti ine nditagona ndi ana nyumbamu kena kuchamma past 4 nyumba ija amayi anga andilawirira kuti kodi mulimo bwanji titangoyima pa sitting room nyumba ija inazagwa sopano ubwino wake kanakhala kuti yagwera mkatimu ineyo ndikundi mwanayo pamodzi ndi mayi anga kuti kanafera pati pomwepo ineyo ndinayandikiraso chipatala cha kwakhanda ndipo chipatala cha kwakhanda chinaonesa kuti cyclone Freddy uja analowesaso madzi mchipatala muja unapezeka kuti chifukwa kuti chipatalachi a VIP anachimanga bwino unapezeka kuti icho sichinagwese koma madzi analowa kanakhala kuti mene yabilira nyanja yatibizira mpunga wathu kupezekaso kuti VIP sinabwereseso kuja sikimu akuluakulu kuno tinali pa mavuto ndipo mwinaso mkati muzingomva kuti ana kumeneko afa. Zina anga ndine Suyawire ndi ana 80 pana 8 zukulu zilipo 4 koma amuna anga anamwalira 2014 pa 2014 ndakhala ndili pa umasiye zaka 9. Ntchito zimene ndimagwira ndi VIP ineyo anatipasa ulimi wa nthirira kusamani irrigation scheme. Ulimi wa nthirira ni malima tomato uja ndinagulisa ndalama yokwana 520 koma ndalama ina ni masiya ku VCL. Ndipo ninasungisa ndalama yokwana 150 pa 150 natuka ndi 300 ndipo nditatuka ndi 300 ndinaona kuti pamenepa panga bwanji ndinauza ainake akhola la ng'ombe ngati ineyo ndifuna ndigule ng'ombe nde ndinakagula ng'ombe uja ndinagulapo njinga ya mwana ndinagulaso mbuzi zanga ziwiri ndimaweta njuchi ngati ulimi wa njuchi. Ulimi wa njuchi umandithandiza kumbali yoti mwina mwake ineyo mwana kusukulu amubweza uniform ndimakhala kuti mwina sauchi ndimatenga ndalama ichi ndikamulipira mwana kusukulu kapena kumugulira uniform ndimaona ngati kuti mbali imodzi kundithandiza kumandipekusa zina zikandifutaso. Ineyo chinandisangasa kuti ndigule ng'ombe imeneyi ndinagula yathazi cholinga iziswa ndili ndi ana omwina azaonepo gwira ine mwina nditamwali ndewo azasale ndi kuti amayi tu anatipangira izi atalima mu VIP atatipasa sikimu iwo amayi anapindulamo ng'ombeyi koma ifeyo tasanazo koma amayi atu anamwalira VIP kuthandauza kuti ana aizayikumbukira pangana kalekale. VIP zikomo yasintha moyo wanga VIP zikomo.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is why we do what we do. Stories like that really change, really motivate us and inspire us. You know, she told about how the cyclone took her house down, and yet she was not set back. She was not devastated by the collapse of her house. She rebuilt it herself without VIP. And that's what we want to see, is that people can stand on their own without VIP.
Yeah. It's funny. She said she bought her son a bicycle, but it's just so he can, put it to good use and make money, taxiing people around or taking people from one place to another. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the end of our time here tonight. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us. Aaron just gave us an update on where we are fundraising wise.
Yes, we have reached over $54,000 tonight. Which means we unlocked our matching gift of $50,000.
Yes. So we're so grateful to all of you and for pouring blessings, and may God continue to pour God's blessings on you so that you may bless others.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and good night.
Good night.